Based on the ever-growing mountain of scientific evidence, we now know the incredible power of mindfulness, meditation, sleep, and looking within.
Welcome to Thrive On Live. I'm Caroline Modaresi-Tehrani. Whether it's the Karate Kid trying to defeat his opponent or Jackie Chan trying out to take out a new enemy with one fierce blow, the martial arts are no longer just used in popular 80s and 90s films. In fact, practicing martial arts can be a full mind and body experience that isn't just focused on doing others bodily harm. Well, joining me now to discuss the benefits of martial arts training is the founder of Warrior Bridge, Gary Snyder. So Gary, thanks for being with us.
Pleasure to be here.
So talk to me about your foray, I guess, into martial arts, or really the kind of life that you've been leading for quite a number of years now.
I've been training in martial arts for over 35 years, teaching for close to 30, primarily in the Japanese martial art of Aikido.
So tell me, what is Aikido?
Aikido is a modern Japanese martial art that teaches coordination of mind and body. As a self-defense martial art, we work a lot on taking the opponent's balance and throwing to the ground or submitting. What distinguishes Aikido in many ways, it's not as much a striking art and arguably not as violent as other martial arts. It was founded by a very enlightened Japanese man, Morihei Ueshiba, who believed that Aikido could be a path of peace and love and compassion. So within that paradox, we practice Aikido.
So when you started practicing martial arts, what initially led you to the practice? I mean, was it this idea of peace, or were you just kind of excited because it looked like quite a cool thing to do and you'd seen him on the movies and you thought, oh, I want a piece of that?
Yeah, more of the latter. I think I was in between years in college. I'd taken a year off. I went out to be a ski bum in Idaho, and I picked the one winter where they had the least amount of snow in 100 years, and I stumbled on a karate dojo and started training, and I've practiced regularly ever since.
So when you say regularly, how often do you practice?
Well, I teach 3 nights a week, but I would say in my early years I practiced most days, and I'm practicing Aikido at least 3 or 4 days. And what I've done with Warrior Bridge, which has added to my training, is I've started a school which also presents Tai Chi, yoga, and meditation. And I'm also active in those practices as well. So if you include my daily meditation practice, my yoga, and my Tai Chi, I'm doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you are. When you first started out, what kind of differences in your mind or your body did you notice in a relatively short span of time when you were still in kind of college era? When you started, what differences did you notice?
It's hard to remember things from 35 years ago, and I'm a much different person now. To be honest, I think when I was younger, I was probably dealing with a lot of more issues surrounding empowering myself. I think when you're younger, a lot of things in life tend to knock you down, and you consciously and unconsciously look for a way to be strong. And I think that's part of what drew me. And it's only been in more recent years, as I've developed more knowledge, more confidence, and more understanding, that I've been able to take that into other areas that are have more to do with the balance of practicing martial arts and living life.
And when you talk about strength, I think people, when they hear about the martial arts, associate strength with a very physical strength. What kind of mental strength do you think that you've got from having studied martial arts for so long?
Well, let me just start a little bit with the physical strength. My Aikido sensei, Shuji Moriyama sensei, who's in his late 70s, weighs 127 pounds, and he has 250-pound guys try to move him, and they can't. So there's something quite extraordinary about that. But there is a strength of mind that's very important, and what we teach in Aikido is calmness in action. It's one of the first things we teach, because most people do the opposite in an adverse situation. They panic, they tighten up, they freeze. And what we teach in Aikido is that our strongest state and our best state for self-defense is to be relaxed and supple and responsive.
And I've got a comment here from Jeremy Simpson, who's watching us, who says, wow, that's beautiful. Do you see a beauty in the movements in Aikido, the practice?
I see more than beauty. I feel the beauty and I understand the beauty. My father's an artist, and I've been in the art business for many years. And I don't think there's an accident that a martial artist is an artist. There's a tremendous beauty, and Aikido arguably is one of the most beautiful of the martial arts because it's very, very flowing. But I absolutely feel that it's a path of great beauty.
For those who are not familiar with it, for those who are just trying to get into it, how long does it take, do you think, to fully appreciate the practice? Is it, as many yogis have sort of told me, that you're continually going through this journey? There's a continuum of appreciation that goes on and there's no ever real sort of end point, or is there an end point?
I don't believe there's an end point. I was recently presented with a 7th degree black belt by my teacher, and I'm feeling more than ever that it's the beginning rather than the end of things. But as far as how long it takes to learn it, we had talked a little bit beforehand, and I think that a beginner or someone like yourself can learn some things in 3 minutes that would help you. That said, Aikido roughly translates as the way of harmony with Ki. Ki is our energy, our strongest state, our relaxed, most comfortable, strongest state. The I has to do with balance and how we interact with the world. But the Do is the hardest part. The Do translates to the way or the path. And I think you would agree that the heart of any spiritual work is continual practice, is being on that path. And that's what Aikido is, and that's what it has been for me.
Well, you say it's a path. I'm curious, what path do you think you'd have been on had you not been introduced or had you not stumbled across martial arts and Aikido?
Oh, it's so hard to say. I really don't know. I think it's better to fully embrace and stay on your path rather than think too much about what it would look like otherwise. Maybe I've been too busy on the path to think about what it would be otherwise. But it's also a challenge. Again, the balance is important. I love my training, my meditation, my Tai Chi, my yoga. I also like to play golf. I also like to enjoy life. And again, I'm also in the art business. I enjoy that. So this balance is important. And I would argue that Aikido is a particularly good martial art, and that what we're doing with Warrior Bridge is creating a space that allows you to train in these disciplines, but carry them into the quote-unquote real world.
So talk to me about how meditation figures into all of this as well.
When I set out to do Warrior Bridge, I had extensive training with Aikido. I had about 8 years of Tai Chi training here in New York City with Master William C.C. Chen, who's one of the great, great masters. And with the lineage of my teacher in Aikido and Master Chen, I knew that I was representing some of the great lineages in martial arts. And I wanted to offer yoga, and there's so much good yoga in New York City that in a way that wasn't that hard. But I also wanted to include meditation, and I wanted to include it very instinctually, even though I didn't meditate myself. So about 6 months ago, I went out into the New York marketplace or world to find a meditation school that would work for me. And I started a meditation at the Shambhala Center, which works with the Tibetan Buddhism, and it felt really right from the very beginning. There's some influences of Japanese Zazen, and that's what we teach. And I've begun a regular practice since then because I feel that I'm modeling what I want my students to do at Warrior Bridge. It's not just you do it, but I'm doing it also.
Well, it's fascinating that you only started 6 months ago and this instinctual gravitational pull towards meditation. You know, do you feel like there had been meditative qualities of the martial arts prior, and why do you think that it took you, I suppose, so long to actually get there in terms of meditation?
I've been interested in meditation and Eastern philosophy for a long, long time. I was a philosophy major, so this wasn't brand new to me. But you know, it's one thing to read about things, and it's another thing to do them. And that's particularly true with meditation. If you really set out to have a practice and say you're going to meditate 24 minutes a day, you quickly come up against how challenging that is.
What are the challenges for you?
Each day is different, and you say, oh, I have to go and do this, I have to do that, and yet you have to find your space. Now, what I've learned in practice and from my teachers is not to be too hard on myself. And some days where it's just impossible, I'll say I'm only going to sit for 12 minutes. But I try to at least sit, just to touch that ground and honor that commitment. And as far as the challenges in meditation, you come up against them quickly. We have that monkey mind that just keeps running all over the place. I think because of my background in martial arts, the calmness and posture was one of the things that came easiest. The mind is another thing.
Yeah, well, so we hear. I've got a comment here from Darnelli, who's watching us as well, and says meditation can help restore the body to balance by harmonizing the key energy with the channels that travel through the body. Meditation can help expand the mind as well as relax it, relieving stress and anxiety. Talk to me about that, the idea of kind of expanding the mind, particularly when you're engaged in a martial art like that, because I feel like your mind would be very focused on the physical act that you're about to engage in. How does the mind expand in that moment?
In a more ideal situation, one actually, to talk about a soft focus, you want your eyes to be softer to get more of a sense of the field. The more you're too focused, you get tighter and you don't see the periphery. So you have to stay relaxed. But Aikido is a particularly great martial art for mindfulness in that rather than like a kung fu movie where the punch comes in and you block it and there's a quick another punch, the way we work, and we'll show a few techniques a little later, is you take the person's balance. And when a person's balance is taken, everything slows down. You know what it's like to be on the subway. You're sitting there and all of a sudden the train stops and you lose your balance. You don't come back to that balance right away. It takes you a little bit to come back. We use that in Aikido. And that's one of the problems of Aikido, because when people see it, they say, it looks fake, because we've slowed everything down. And part of it is because they're accustomed to more of this popular culture, bam, 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 kung fu fighting art, which makes very good movies, but maybe not is the best way in real life.
Fascinating. Well, I want to bring in another practitioner of Aikido. We're going to get Bob with us in a second, and we'll come back to that. But, you know, that in terms of the balance as well, this idea of kind of a balance and an exchange, is it an exchange of power? Is that what's happening in those moments where you are going through these motions, where someone is coming at you in the practice and your job really is to stop them, right? Is to fell them. Is that a power dynamic going on there, a balance power?
There's a balance power. My sensei talks about that the first thing we do is we find our strongest state. And this is, again, that most natural, relaxed, comfortable, happiest state. And it's actually a state that ideally we move through the world with. But when we're challenged, when there's an attacker or an adversary, we then have to balance that. We have to absorb that. And a lot of it works against the assumption. Anybody who's coming to attack assumes something. If they're going to grab, they assume they're going to get something solid. If they're going to punch, they're going to assume they're going to hit. And we work with that. We wait right until that moment where that expectation is theirs, and then we move out of the way. We take their balance. And after we take the balance, there's a range of possibilities. We train very hard with a number of different types of joint locks, throws to the ground, submissions, which take a while to learn, but help you feel this great strength and possibility.
Well, I love this idea of strength and possibility, and I think now we have Bob O'Hare in our Google Hangout. Bob, how are you? And how did you get started in the practice of Aikido?
Well, I'm fine, and hello, Sensei Gary. I got started in Aikido because I was a runner and I hurt my feet, my legs, and I stopped exercising, and I was looking for new exercise. And I heard that Aikido was good for older people because there was less kicking and punching and no competition, and also a little self-defense, which I thought would be a good idea in South Philadelphia. And so I went to see a training session. And when I saw them rolling and falling and flying through the air, I figured, boy, if I can do this, that'll be good exercise, and I hope I can rise to the challenge.
So, Bob, tell me, when did you actually start this practice?
About 6 years ago.
So what led you to, obviously apart from thinking that where your surrounds were, you needed a little bit of self-defense, what made you keep going back after you'd gone to your first class?
Well, the basic idea of not getting hurt and not hurting anybody else resonated with me. and also it's very consistent with the work I did as an organization development consultant. And I coached a lot of executives. And in working with leaders, I tried to get them also to work with their people. Don't hurt anybody. I don't want you to get hurt as a leader, but I don't want you to blame. I don't want you to attack people. You have to work together in a peaceful environment. And so that work-related idea carried forward into Aikido. And I mean, that worked very well. And now it works for me with my family and with people I meet. I don't have to be a winner anymore. I guess my ego is more in check than it was. And I'm a more peaceful person because of it.
Now, that's fascinating, that idea about the ego being in check as well. I mean, Gary, talk to me about that. Do you relate to what Bob is saying when it comes to ego?
Bob is a great spokesman for Aikido, and I agree completely on a number of things he said, especially about how Aikido can be used with family and in the workplace. Part of what balancing is finding a balancing between talking and listening, respecting others, and deciding that you don't want to hurt others and you don't want to be hurt themselves. As far as the ego, you do confront it, and as a teacher, as a sensei, I confront other people's ego, and part of what I'm doing is telling them to let that go, that this is not about you winning or losing, it's about you finding your strongest state and who you are best as a human being.
Yeah, Bob, but talk to me about this idea of letting go, needing to feel like a winner. You know, why do you think that that was something that was so important to you for so long? And how does it feel now that you've let all that go?
I don't know that I knew it was important to me. I guess I like to do things my way. Not so much that I want to be a winner or win over other people, but now, just looking back, I have mellowed a bit. And my wife has said that too. You know, Carol says I'm a more mellow fellow than I was before. And I like it. And I have a mindset now that it gives me a better awareness of relationships and other people and the need to be nice and loving and caring. I don't know whether it was not there before. I think it was. I think I was a caring person. But I'm much more aware of it now. And I think that awareness is something also I tried to help other people in my leadership development work. And now it's coming back on me, much more aware of my surrounding, who I am, where I'm going. At this age, it's very good. It's a good feeling. It's very nice.
Well, Bob, I have to say, as Gary said, I mean, I'm not a spokesperson for Aikido. I've never even done it, and well, haven't done it for a couple of minutes anyway. But you know, Bob, what a pleasure! Thank you so much for being with us today on HuffPost Live. Great to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
So, Gary, you currently teach almost 50 students at your Warrior Bridge facility in New York City, and one of your students is with us today. So this is TJ Morehouse, and I want to bring him in to give us a bit more of a perspective, and also to do that, I think that we should do a bit of a demo. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Let's go do this.
All right, as long as we promise that I can teach you one technique at the end.
You can, yeah, you can, but yeah, I have to warn you, you know, my strength, the guns.
I'm already a little scared.
All right, well, let's go over here. And TJ, good to see you. So nice to meet you as well.
Nice to meet you.
All right, so tell us a little bit about what you guys are going to be demonstrating for us today.
I think Gary's going to show a couple of basic self-defense techniques.
Okay, all right. So I'll let you guys take it away first.
What's the best front area here?
I think if you guys are good, if you stand
Turn around a little more
yeah,
this way.
about
and
that
face
way.
this
That would be great.
Good. So again, what we're working with a lot is assumption. So if TJ were to grab my shoulder, his assumption would be that he would come against something hard. And what you're going to see as we do a number of techniques is you're going to see where he has an assumption, and then through my movement and taking his balance, we can move into something else. So we'll show a few different techniques.
Okay, go for it. I will stand out the way.
So this is called Katatori Ikkyo, and right now I pretty much have TJ controlled. Stand up. And so I can just hold him here, have a nice conversation. If he gets a little tougher and I need to submit, I can move into this, which is called Nikyo. And at this point, I can make TJ make funny sounds.
So how much strength are you exerting in this moment in order to submit TJ?
Not a lot, but that comes from a lot of training. And a lot of it comes from relaxation. My sensei calls it a sleepy feeling. It's like, but if I'm tense, he can resist and come up.
So you're basically like sleeping yourself into submitting
I'm relaxing.
TJ.
I'm relaxing like water would relax into
TJ,
something.
how relaxed were you just then?
TJ's used to me beating him up.
All right, so yeah,
that's,
okay.
That's one technique against a grab. We also have a lot of techniques against strikes or punches. So in this case, TJ's going to come in really strong with a punch to my midsection. And I'm going to take his balance, and I'll actually take him to the ground, even though we have a nice hard floor here.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, TJ. Where were the crash pads going?
I can take his, and this is also a submission, where he can stay and I can say, TJ, really, are we going to stand up and shake hands and not have that?
okay.
Wow, after this, you're going to be best of friends, right? All right, so I mean, that was if you're throwing. What about a weapon? Like, what if if TJ, if you're coming at Gary with some kind of weapon, a knife? Imaginary knife.
Do we have a knife here? I think we lost our butter knife.
I don't think we have a knife. I have a cup of tea, but it actually may go everywhere. Mike
right.
has a pen.
Well, we could
Huzzah!
use.
Look, hang on. Mike has a pen.
We have a scissors. That's the a pen.
All right,
pen
scissors
or,
is a little.
I like the scissors.
Do we want the scissors? Do we have
TJ
insurance
comes
for
with the
this?
scissors. So basically, it's the same idea. TJ's
Okay.
going to come in with that to here, off the side. The same thing here, and take this. In this case, I'm going to take the knife away.
So this
That
is
way.
all balanced. I mean, can we try and do that in slow motion again?
Yes,
I just
yes.
want to see, so just so that everybody at home can really
Yes,
get a
in
sense of
slow
what's
motion,
going on.
as he comes in, at the last moment, I'm off, and he's off balance, but I'm also gently moving him a little this way.
So you
This
are
was the
grabbing his
energy.
wrist and just moving
I mean,
his
even in
wrist.
the beginning, I'm not even grabbing, I'm just pushing it. If I grab, I can stop his energy, and then he comes in with something else. So it's important to let him go where he wants to go, and then take this. Notice how I stay behind him. This is called kotegaishi. This is a wrist grab, and it takes him very easily to the ground.
Wow.
I can now hold him here and spin him around and take this.
TJ, you're lucky you've got the hair for this as well. This is very good. Hang on a second. So now, TJ, you know Aikido though. So, does his knowing Aikido actually help him in that situation? If you were going out with someone with a weapon and you had the knowledge of Aikido, and then you were trying to kind of phase him off, is there a way that you could get out of that situation? Is there a way that when you were going forward with those scissors, even if Gary is grabbing your wrist, you can somehow come back and do something else? Or are you really stuck at that point?
Well, I think that one of the things we talk about is that they're we practice with very committed attacks. That the last thing we really want is confrontation. So it's a sort of a last resort to actually do the martial art. I'm sure you'd rather talk me out of trying to.
Right. That's a good point, too. A lot of situations you actually want to deflate before they happen. But a lot of what we're doing is also training instinct. Am I okay facing this way here?
Yeah,
We're good.
you face that way,
Good.
yeah.
One of the things about instinct is things can happen very quickly, and a lot depends on where my body position is. So in a quicker situation where it's up front and it's a jab, if I'm a little off to this side, we'll do a technique where TJ is going to jab very quickly, and you can see where my instincts would be.
Okay.
And then I can take him down here. Now this was from me being on this side. TJ does the same thing, and I'm standing a little closer to him. He does the same thing. I come in off the other side, and these are throws. These are things that, in slow motion, if I had any tension, he's going to hit me before I do.
So what's going through your mind when this is happening? Because if someone's coming at me and I'm not thinking about it, or it's taking me totally by surprise, I feel like the adrenaline would be coming at me. My instinct is fight or flight. How are you dispelling those ideas in your mind?
What my sensei says, he says, my feeling when someone attacks me is I'm happy. Okay. Now, what's fascinating about that is how much it's the opposite of this panicking. There's this whatever, this kind of relaxation and confidence, but it takes it takes a while to do that.
Do you feel like you're there, TJ? I mean, how long have you been studying for?
TJ just tested for his 3rd degree black belt and he did very, very well. He's
Nice.
been with me for,
Thank you.
what, 13 years, TJ?
Something like that.
So do you
yeah.
feel happy when you're, when Gary's coming at you and you've got to defend yourself against him?
Well, not when Gary's coming at me. No, but I think like one thing to think about is, you know how you expressed earlier that focus? Well, if you're really focused on something, you sort of lose the world around you. But if you're actually like happy and smiley, you see everything. So it's almost better defensive posture to be in a positive state of mind.
Okay, so show us some more an example of like another ethical self-defense move, I guess. I mean, we hear a lot of cases where people go and say, hey, listen, I was doing this in self-defense, and then they get either convicted or they're the ones who get a lot of scrutiny on themselves. What is the best way of an ethical Aikido
Let's
move?
start with one where we could imagine, friends and friends, okay? And then we could take it from there.
Okay.
So let's say I'm at the bar with TJ, and I didn't know he's been drinking a lot, he's been really angry. You can move back a little bit. TJ's gonna come in, and I'm drinking my beer,
Yeah.
and he's gonna come in like a wrestler or jujitsu guy, and he's gonna come in to tackle me. I can take TJ to the ground and submit him, and still finish my beer and say, TJ, if I can do this with one hand, think what I could do with two.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. Well, okay. How about you show me something
so
that
let's start with the first technique we did. TJ came in and grabbed the shoulder. I
Okay.
moved back and I did this ikkyo. I'm not going to have you do this because it takes long to get very strong here.
Okay.
But I'm going to have you do the basics of it. And let's see, I'm going to let TJ be the attacker.
All right, so I'm
and
gonna
you're
stand here.
stand here. So the first thing I like to show is the wrong way. Put your left foot forward.
Okay.
And nice and slowly, TJ's going to come in and you're going to panic and go, ah!
I'm going to try. I told him I was going to grab his beard. I'm going to grab his beard.
Well, I have a feeling you're a tough cookie. But we're going to teach you an Aikido move. So
All right.
what we're going to do first is show you a body mechanic. As TJ comes in, I want you to move your left foot back and move your body back. So as he
Okay.
comes in, beautiful. One more time. Perfect. Now we're going to do the same thing, and this time, and I'll demonstrate.
Okay.
As you move the body back, I want you to just bring his arm down like that.
Okay, so I got to grab his wrist or just tap it down?
Just tap it down, because his energy.
right.
There you go. Beautiful.
I feel like
And then-
I want to do it again. Can I do that again? I feel like I want to do it over. All right, hang on a second. Let's do this.
Good.
Okay.
Good. And since you're tough, I'm going to have you do it one more time. This time I'm going to have you do it. I'm going to show you.
All
I'm
right.
going to have you do it just a little cocky. What I mean is like look him and wait, and now go.
All right, okay, right. Okay, so this is kind of like woman
Left
on
foot
woman
forward.
here. All right.
Left foot forward. Yeah. Beautiful. Then the last thing I want you to do is to realize that what this is about is not being caught and having some freedom, and you're really not going to want to engage him. So after you move to here, it opens the door, and I want you just to run, get out of the way, and scream, okay?
I don't know if I would. All right then. Okay.
Yes,
this
you
is
would.
this the best
Yes,
thing,
you would.
right?
Yes,
this
it
is
is
what
the
we're
best
supposed to
thing.
do.
Trust me, it's the best
So
thing.
even you, this is a good.
No,
this
not
actually
me.
is a good point.
I would make him scream and cry. But
You would finish him.
you're gonna after you've been training for 5 years, then I'll have you really take care of
Can't I
TJ.
just put my
in
high
this
heel
one.
on him afterwards and
Well, we
finish
can
him
walk
off?
about that one too.
All right, then. All right, well, all right. Let's do this together, Kevin. And then I just have to
go
run.
running. Yep. You see how you had that space?
Yeah, to run around him.
There you go. So there
Very
you
nice.
have in
Well done.
30
Very good, very
seconds
good.
something that actually could help you in real life. There's that sense of instead of freezing, I can move out of the way, parry the blow, run, and hopefully you're now free rather than captured.
But the important thing really is that if you are in an aggressive situation, you've got to have some time to think about what you're doing. Don't react in a really aggressive way. Don't
Well-
react in a way that would be panicky.
Stay relaxed.
Stay relaxed. Okay. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me
Thank
today.
you so much.
What
It's
a
a
pleasure.
pleasure.
Gary, that was great. And TJ, well done.
Thank you.
I hope it wasn't too bruised. And guys, thanks so much for watching. For more information on Warrior Bridge, you can, of course, check out all the links in our resource well below. And stick around, there is more HuffPost Live coming up next.